Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Calm Learner. In the previous chapter, we learned about the Earth's position in the solar system and its shape. Now, in this chapter, we will understand how the Earth is represented and how we locate places on the Earth accurately. For this, we use an important model called the globe and two imaginary lines, latitudes and longitudes. So, let's begin with the first concept. Okay, now let us talk about the globe. Now, what is exactly a globe? A globe is a three-dimensional spherical model of the Earth. It shows the Earth in its true shape, unlike maps which are flat representations. On a globe, we can clearly see continents, oceans, countries, and imaginary lines drawn on the Earth's surface. Because the Earth itself is spherical, the globe helps us understand global patterns like day and night, climate, and location more accurately. Okay, before we move ahead, there is one very important concept we need to understand, and that is the axis of the Earth. Now, what is axis? The axis is an imaginary line that passes through the center of the Earth. It joins the North Pole and the South Pole. The Earth rotates around this imaginary line. Now, the axis is not straight, it is slightly tilted. The Earth axis is tilted at an angle of 23.5 degrees. Now, this tilt is very important because if this because of this tilt of the axis, different parts of the Earth receive different amounts of sunlight. Now, this leads to changes in day and night length and also causes the change of seasons. Now, if we link axis with rotation, we see that the Earth takes about 24 hours to complete one rotation on its axis. This rotation of the Earth is responsible for day and night. So, the axis of the Earth is its tilt and its rotation are all closely connected. Now that we understand the axis, let us continue with the next concept. Now, you might be thinking that why do we need these imaginary lines? In reality, there are no lines drawn on the Earth's surface, but the Earth is very large, so to locate places easily, to measure distance, and to study climate, geographers imagine certain lines, and these lines are called imaginary lines. So, these imaginary lines are of two types: latitudes, which run horizontally, and longitudes, which run vertically. And these imaginary lines helps us locate places accurately and study the Earth's surface. So remember that. Now let us move on to the first type of imaginary lines. These are called latitudes. Latitudes are imaginary lines drawn parallel to the equator. They run from east to west, but they measure how far a place is located north or south of the equator. Now, to explain it further, let us talk about some important latitudes. You can see these in this diagram. These are parallels of latitudes given in the diagram. Now, let us talk about the most important latitude, that is the equator. The equator is marked as the 0 degree latitude. As you can see in this diagram, equator is marked as 0 degree. It divides the earth into two equal halves, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Areas near the equator receive direct sunlight throughout the year. That is why these regions experience very high temperatures. Okay, now apart from the equator, there are other important latitudes. Let us look at them one by one. there is the Tropic of Cancer, which is located at 23.5 degrees north, as you can see it in the diagram. Then there's the Tropic of Capricorn at 23.5 degrees south. Then there's Arctic Circle at 66.5 degrees north. And lastly, there's Antarctic Circle, which is located at 66.5 degrees south. All these latitudes help us in studying climate and how climate change patterns work. Now, let us talk about heat zones of the earth. So, what are heat zones? Heat zones are the regions of the earth that receive different amounts of heat from the sun. This difference happens because the earth is spherical in shape and its axis is tilted. As a result, the sun rays do not fall equally on all parts of the earth. Now, let us see what are the bases of dividing these heat zones. So, the heat zones are divided on the earth on the basis of the angle at which the sun's rays fall and the amount of heat received by different regions. Now, on the basis of difference, we can differentiate the heat zones in three categories. The first one is the torrid zone. So, the torrid zone lies between Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. As you can see in this diagram, the green part near the equator is torrid zone. Now, in this zone, the sun rays fall almost vertically at least once a year. Because of this, torrid zone receives maximum amount of heat and the climate here is generally very hot. Now, second, there's temperate zones. So, the temperate zones lie between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere and between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere. As you can see, the orange part in the diagram. Here, the sun rays fall slanting, not vertical. So, these regions receive moderate heat and the climate is neither too hot nor too cold. Now, at last, if we look at frigid zones, so the frigid zones lie beyond the Arctic Circle in the north and the Antarctic Circle in the south. You can see the gray part, frigid zones in the diagram. So, these regions, the sun rays fall very slanting. As a result, they receive very little heat and the climate remains extremely cold for most of the year. So, we can now conclude that the closer a region is to the equator, the more heat it receives, and the closer it is to the poles, the less the heat it receives. So, in the end, we can say that heat zones explain why different parts of the earth have different climates. Okay? Okay, so now let us move on to the next concept. This is about longitudes. So, longitudes are imaginary lines drawn from North Pole to the South Pole. They run in a vertical direction. Longitudes help us measure distance east or west of a reference line. Unlike latitudes, all longitudes are of equal length. As you can see in the diagram, they are all made from the single point from North Pole to the South Pole. So they are all of equal length. Now, the most important longitude is called the prime meridian. It is marked as the 0-degree longitude. The prime meridian divides the earth into two parts, the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. It passes through Greenwich in the London. You can see it in the diagram, the prime meridian. Now let us understand how longitudes are related to time. This is very important concept, so please pay attention. This happens because the earth rotates on its axis. Now, the Earth takes 24 hours to complete one full rotation on its axis. During this rotation, the Earth turns through 360 degrees. Now, if we see, if the Earth rotates 360 degrees in 24 hours, then in 1 hour it will rotate 15 degrees. So this means that 15 degrees of longitude is equals to 1 hour of time. Now, if we wonder that why different places have different time, is because different places lie on different longitudes. They face the sun at different times. Now, places located towards the east see the sun earlier and their time is ahead. Places located towards the west see the sun later and their time is behind. Now, to calculate time, we need a starting line. This reference line is prime meridian, which is marked as 0 degree longitude as we have discussed earlier. Now, time at the prime meridian is taken as a standard reference time. Now, for a simple example, we can take that if a place is located 15 degrees east of the prime meridian, its local time will be 1 hour ahead than the prime meridian. And if a place is located 15 degrees west, its local time will be 1 hour behind. So longitudes help us calculate local time, and this is the reason why countries have different time zones. Now that we understand how longitudes are related to time, let us see how time is fixed in country like India. So why do we need a standard time? Because India is a large country and stretches across several longitudes. If every place followed its own local time, there would be confusion in daily life, in offices, schools, railways, communication. So India follows one standard time for the entire country. What is Indian Standard Time? The standard time which India follows is called Indian Standard Time or simply IST. It is calculated from a specific longitude which is 82.5 degree east longitude, as you can see in the diagram. So this longitude passes near Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. The local time at this longitude is taken as Indian Standard Time. So why this 82.5 degree east was chosen? Because this longitude lies almost in the middle of India. So it is suitable for the whole country. All parts of India from east to west follow the same Indian Standard Time. Now this helps in uniformity and coordination across the country. Now let's wrap up with the revising what are the differences between latitudes and longitudes. So latitudes run from east to west and measure distance from north or south of the equator. They are the horizontal lines. And longitudes run from north to south and measure distance from east or west of the prime meridian, and they are the vertical lines. Latitudes help us understand the heat zones and climate, while longitudes help us calculate the time. Latitudes are the parallels and the longitudes meet at the poles. So, in this chapter, we learned about globe, latitudes, longitudes. So, these imaginary lines help us understand the earth better and locate places easily. This chapter is very important for competitive exams like UPSC. Now, thank you for watching. If you found this explanation useful, please like, share, and subscribe to the Calm Learner.